All right, let's get April on here. She wants some closure here, and she deserves it. There are some people I do feel like this happens to more than others, where you date somebody, and then you're like the setup person. You date somebody, you get broken up with, and then the next couple of months or in a year, the one you break up with is getting married. And it happens over and over and over to the same person.
Yeah, that's like a movie. I can't remember what it's called, but you're somebody's good luck charm.
So this is what happened to April here. And she's wondering, like, what happened? Hey, April.
Good morning.
Good morning. Oh, you don't sound happy.
You tired, boo-boo?
What's the matter, booby?
Well, I mean, I appreciate you guys taking my call. I was in a relationship for 6 years, and I patiently waited for a proposal that never came. And as time went by, I had set a mental deadline for the relationship to move forward.
The line in the sand is what I call it.
Yes, and just before that quote-unquote line in the sand day, my partner ended things with me.
I'm sorry.
And thank you. I appreciate that. But what's more shocking is that just like 4 months later, after our breakup, he got engaged to someone else.
4 months later?
Okay.
4 months. Yeah.
All right.
So,
maybe I'm being pessimistic. Maybe it's sort of common sense, and this might be hurtful to hear, but don't you think that he might have been seeing somebody on the side before the breakup, maybe?
Right. And so this whole thing has left me just like completely reeling with a bunch of mixed emotions. Like, I'm so confused. I feel really betrayed. It's really affected my lack of self-esteem. And you're right. I can't help but wonder, what she has that I didn't, or what I could have done differently. And I also can't help but wonder, if he had something going on with her before we broke up.
I'm assuming y'all had conversations in the relationship about marriage or why he would or would not marry you. How did those go? What did he say?
We did talk about it. We talked about it here and there, but there was never any action towards, let's go look for a ring or what have you. But words, there was nothing there, So after our breakup 4 months later, I was just, I was honestly so shocked.
I bet. Well, we'll have answers for you here in a couple of minutes, but let's go through a couple of things here. So now it could be possible, because you think worst case scenario that I bet he was seeing somebody. It could be also that when you guys broke up, he just found whatever that one is. And, the old cliche, when you know, right? So is that possible?
He went from a 6-year relationship of non-committing to within 4 months engaged to another woman. Like, that's drastic.
It almost feels spiteful. Like he wanted you to realize that was the situation for some reason. But, I guess it is possible.
I'm going to be rarely optimistic. I honestly think maybe he just found the right person for him. This is something people have been talking about on TikTok recently, about the timeline it takes for men to figure out who the right person is for them. And the timeline has honestly been like 6 months, but even some guys have come out and been like, well, it took me 3 months, 2 months to figure out that this person was the right one for me. So I think it might just be that he genuinely loved you enough to stay for 6 years, but really maybe it wasn't a forever relationship. It was just a love for 6 years.
Gosh, then you sort of have a responsibility at some point, right? Before a woman or even a dude gives 6 years of their life to you. If you know in the first year, why string it on, right?
I think some people don't realize that there can be more out there, because it does sound like you guys had a lot of love for each other for 6 years. And when you have love for someone, the obvious answer isn't, well, I should just break up with them unless there's something drastically wrong. So I think it's fair to say that it was honestly just more comfortable to stay in the relationship because he did enjoy it.
All right, so this closure call is a little bit different than what we usually do, because Tommy just told me that you had questions for the woman that he ended up getting engaged to.
Yeah. So I do have so many questions that I want answers to, but I want them from her.
Okay.
Why her and not him?
Well, I know that he won't give me any answers, and he'll just be vague, even if you would talk to me about it. So I'm curious if you can contact her and ask her my questions.
Yeah, Abby, if you got a DM from your fiance's ex,
in the similar situation, would you be forthcoming with information?
100%.
You would?
I'm a girl's girl, and if it's going to make you feel better, because honestly, I have a lot of respect for anybody that my partner has dated previously because they chose me. They also chose these other people. So we got to have something in common, right? And if it's going to make you feel better and give you the closure to be able to leave us alone for the rest of our lives, I will happily DM with you for a couple of minutes.
All right. April, Tommy was telling me here that you had 5 or 6 questions. We've already reached out to her and we already got answers. But what were the questions that you asked real quick?
Yeah, there were a handful.
What's that?
So my questions were, when did your relationship with him begin? Was there any overlap with our relationship? Was he emotionally available right from the start of your relationship, or did he seem affected at all by our recent breakup? Do you know why he decided to propose to you so quickly after our breakup? A couple more. Was he open about his past relationship with me when you two started dating? Did you know about me and how long we had been together? Has he shared with you his reasons for ending our long-term relationship? Did he mention any unresolved issues or regrets from our relationship that I should be aware of? And then lastly, I know there's a lot, do you have any insight that might help me understand why our relationship didn't lead to an engagement?
Okay. Well, that's a handful right there.
That's more than a handful.
Yeah, that's a handful. So, Tommy, you can take it from here. You reached out to the fiancé. How many of those did she answer?
Well, let's just say I got a response.
Okay. I don't really know what that means, April, but we will find out here in just a couple of minutes if you want to hang out, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
So we were talking before, and I asked Abby, you're engaged to a man. His ex reaches out to you and asks you these questions. Would you be open to answering them? And you said yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you have to have respect for the people that they dated prior to you because you're in the same dating pool. These aren't like these evil villains that your ex or your partner spent these years with. They're real people.
But would you go to your fiancé and tell him before engaging in conversation with her?
100%. I think that's the respectful thing to do.
Yeah. I would tell whoever I was seeing at the time, and then we would make that decision together. But my instinct would be, I am not risking my current for my ex. So I'm probably being real cautious about that.
I would probably not even bring it up to the person that I'm with and not even answer it and leave the past in the past because I don't want to jeopardize my current situation either.
All right, so April here has been sitting here waiting, and she knows that there's been a response. So, show director Tom, you want to take it from here?
Well, in some ways, a lack of response because, like I said, no questions that she asked just now are being answered. But it's not because she's given the cold shoulder. It's more along the lines of Abby. She's totally open to this, and she's actually very empathetic in her response. So I reached out to Kelsey. I explained closure call, the entire situation, sent her April's questions, and she wrote back. And kind of like what I'm saying, what she had to say was a bit surprising. She said, I've been in her shoes and needed closure before. So I totally can relate to how she's feeling. It took me a long time to move on from a past relationship that felt unresolved. So I'd like to help her move on if I can. I've read through the questions you've shared on her behalf. It's a lot to take in, and honestly, each question carries a weight that I feel deserves more than just a typed response. Email responses can sometimes feel a bit cold or impersonal, don't you think? So here's what I propose. How about she and I meet up for a casual drink or dinner?
Oof, wow.
Okay.
I think it would be much better to talk about these things face to face. It'll give us both a chance to have a real conversation where we can chat openly and honestly. I want to be clear, though, there might be some things I'm not fully comfortable diving into or might not have all the answers to. But I'm willing to share what I can, and hopefully it might offer some clarity or closure for April. Let me know what she says. Thanks, Kelsey.
Well, unless I'm not seeing something here, this seems like a very kind thing to do.
Yes.
It does. It does. But April, how does that make you feel? Like, I understand wanting to get answers, but if I were you, I'd want to get answers from a distance. That's meeting face to face with your ex's fiance, that's a lot.
I mean, objectively, the email was very kind.
Yes.
I don't know, it brings up more emotions of, oh, well, is she nice?
I think there's something else going on here. I think the fiance wants to meet up with you to get clarification on the timeline, because I think now maybe you've raised a red flag.
Oh, I didn't even think
Right?
about that.
Like, oh, what do you mean? Was there overlap? I didn't know he was in a relationship recently.
See, this clearly is coming from somebody that hosts a podcast about breakups.
I got trust issues for days, y'all.
Understandably so.
Oh, I didn't even see that coming.
It does seem like a bit much for her to want to meet her. I feel like there was something there, but I couldn't think of what, and that makes a ton of sense.
I think you should do it. I think you should go for it.
If you want your closure, this is what you'll do, April.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Like she's setting the parameters on you want information. She's willing to give it to you, but she's only going to give it to you under these parameters. So are you willing to accept her conditions?
I think so. Maybe a coffee. Maybe
Yes.
not a drink.
Yeah.
That sounds like a
I'd
lot.
keep alcohol out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would keep alcohol out of it for sure.
Quite the opposite for me.
You won't need a drink.
April, when you decide what you're going to do, can we follow up with you on an email and then follow up with you after you talk to her face to face?
Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate your help.
You have to.
Yeah, I know, right? We will stalk. We will find you. All right, April. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Talk to you soon.
The Bert Show.